Joining us this week is Phyllis Weiss, author of You Can't Google It.
Actually, Hazerow. It's my last name.
Hazerow. It's okay. Philip Hazerow, author of You Can't Google It. This book serves as a tool to help organizations and individuals remove the stress, frustration, and negative energy from working with people from different generations so that they can accomplish their common goals. Welcome to the show, Phyllis.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
I can't Google it. That's like telling someone my age that the information out there doesn't exist.
Well, where you're most likely to get it and get it right is in the conversations and relationships that you have with people that you work with. So here, take a look and see the table of contents, what it is that you can or can't Google.
What do you think about this, Monica?
I am fascinated by this. So you can Google many things, and in personal relationships, can you expand on that for us? Because I think we now all gotten addicted to technology. You know, if I cough one time, I'm on Google. I Google it. Coughed 3 times in a row, and then I'm on a forum, and then I'm reading. Tell us more about what inspired you to write this.
All right. I've worked with multi-generational workplaces a lot, with professional services and knowledge workers for a long time. And I realized even about 20 years ago that the senior people were, the younger people weren't getting the attention they needed because the senior people were too busy. And so I started having them have discussions, getting to know peers of theirs that they could count on to do their marketing with, to serve their clients, and also to have management and everybody else really discussing what are their expectations and how can we understand. And at that time, it was the Gen Xers, actually, before the millennials. And then that continued. And I started these next generation training and coaching for them. And it seemed to me, as I looked back, that even from the very beginning of my career, I had older people working for me. And that was an issue that really was comfortable for me, older and younger, but that there were a lot of people who did not feel as comfortable and were reluctant to reach out to people of other generations. So I started a concept called Cross-Generational Conversation Day. And the book was a tool to get people to understand that, make it more visible, and get it into organizations all over.
What do you think is the biggest problem in multi-generational co-working, I guess, if I can say that? I know from a personal standpoint, I've had to train a lot of interns, and the way in which, and it's not even that big of a generation.
Life.
Yeah. and communication seems to be a huge thing that happens in the beginning when you're first getting to know each other. So how do you overcome that in the process that you've created?
Well, one of the things that I think is, and one of the 10 traits and skills that I cover in the book from each of the generational lenses, is curiosity. And I think what people want, and I came up with this word called Gengagement, and the first 3 are uppercase, G-E-N, and then the rest. Everybody wants to feel engaged, motivated, and valued and respected, and wanting to know that you're interested in them. And I think one of the reasons that I've always gotten along very well with younger people, whichever generation they are, is that I ask a lot of questions and I am curious and I really want to know about them. And somehow that is conveyed and makes them feel comfortable, important, you know, I have, yes, and I have something to share, wanting to belong. So I think that there seems to be more and more of a reluctance to reach out to people, and part of it is how people are retreating into their tribes because of all the divisiveness that there is now, or that has come to the surface, even if it was there before. And so initiating conversations and making people feel valued and comfortable is really the secret to it with most people, and to let them know that they are doing something important, even if it's a fairly mundane thing that they don't particularly want to do.
So a lot of the things you have these aspects of every generation and their attributes, right? I see a lot of negative ones for millennials: short attention span, crave quick and frequent feedback, demand meaningful work or leave. And when I was looking at the baby boomers one, they were mostly positive things.
Well, actually, I don't look at it that way. That's your value judgment. I think the short attention span is definitely true.
Oh, of course.
Okay, I mean, and that is getting to everyone. I mean, I think even the way we communicate as being, shorter snippets, especially when everyone had to get used to 140 characters. It's a lot easier now. That a lot of these things society has adopted wherever they come from. But I don't think that demanding feedback, I mean, if it's done respectfully, we should be giving people feedback. And the older generations didn't expect it, and because it wasn't how things were when they got into the workplace. And how things were if you didn't hear anything negative, you're doing fine. But in fact, that's not necessarily true.
No.
If you're not fired, if we haven't told you, throw your papers at you and say rewrite this, it's fine. But we have to know you can't improve without that. And younger generations are used to that because their education has been different. They were brought up by their boomer parents to ask a lot of questions, and sometimes their managers think, why are you asking me all these things? Figure it out yourself, or you're taking my time, or I'm running off to a meeting. So some of those things are perfectly valid, but people aren't used to them.
Well, I love the line of that extras think that leadership should be based on competence. If only leadership was based on competence, our world would be such a better place. Did you feel like that's a value that's shared by many generations?
Yes, I do. But I think that they're not necessarily looking at other things, and that's why a lot of the interpersonal things, it depends how you define competence, of course, but there are politics anytime there are two or more people in a workplace or anywhere, even in your family, right?
Yeah.
And so how competence is defined can vary from person to person. So surely we want competence, but they wanted a much more direct line from what they considered the quality of their work to how much they were paid or how fast they were being promoted. And I think that's true of millennials too.
Well, anyway, Philip Hazarat, author of You Can't Google It. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Absolutely.
Enjoy.